You're listening to Family Today with Funmi Johnson.
Hello. My voice is a bit coarse because it's a wet morning. I need a cup of coffee. Hello, somebody. This is Family Today with Funmi Johnson, and today we are talking about. Guess. I'm sure you're thinking. We've talked about communication. We've talked about the needs of men, the needs of women. What else are we going to talk about? Now, let me let you into this. Most of the time, I come up with what we're going to be discussing based on the messages I get, my email, the questions, the quest of people. I feel the pulse because I want to make sure that together we're working to form formidable families. And so this morning, I'm going to talk about something that is pertinent to both the husband and the wife in marriage. And that is what I call expectation. Expectations. I'm sorry there will be no phoning in this morning, and because I want you to take all this in. If we get this right, we will be able to fail-proof our marriages. We'll be able to divorce-proof our marriages, because it is God's will and desire for your marriage to be together. I was sharing with a couple during the week, and I said one of the greatest gifts you can give to your children is the gift of permanence. And then man said, what do you mean by that? I said, yes. Both of you agreeing ahead of time that you will remain together in spite of anything. So that way you give that child stability. So if you can work on that, if we can do something to make sure that we're able to abut every threat of divorce and separation. So today I want to talk about expectations and why is it that important. One of the most significant sources of stress in marriage is tied to expectations. When expectations are unclear, unhealthy, unspoken, or unmet, one or both spouses can start to feel neglected, can start to feel inadequate, and or frustrated with the marriage. So I'm convinced that, divorce, one of the major causes of divorce is unmet expectations. So when a man and a woman first start out together in marriage, both of them are carrying unspoken expectations. They each have a vision of what the home life will be. They have separate ideas of what their sex life should be. They have different dreams of what their future family will be. They also have different expectations for what each of their responsibilities should be. You just kind of assume that because my mother does it this way, this is what my wife is going to do. Because this is what my husband, my father used to do, when he was alive. Oh, my old good dad. You just naturally assume that because he's the model to you is a male role model. So you expect naturally that that's what your spouse will do. These different expectations are rarely communicated out loud because most newlyweds naively believe that they are so in sync with their spouses that the unspoken expectations are their unspoken expectations are actually the same. They believe that, we're together, there's that chemistry. When I start a song, it concludes it. When I say the color is always the right one that matches. So you think everything is together. But this is never the case. Two different individuals with two different personalities coming from two different family backgrounds would always have some different expectation. Let me say that again. Two different individuals with two different personalities coming from two different family backgrounds would always have some different expectations. So different expectations are not necessarily bad. Like most aspects of marriage, this is just another opportunity to do what I discussed last week. And what was that? Communicate. So you need to be conscious that, yes, your expectations are based on assumption. An assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. You can't just assume that your wife will do this. And you see, a lot of times, because you've been saying it all the time, you now just keep quiet about it. And you begin to sulk, and you begin to nag, and you begin to get pensive, and then resentment sets in. And then you begin to just naturally hate your spouse. You don't even know the cause of it. It's an unmet expectation. So, I'm talking about unmet expectation, and I said, these expectations are not necessarily right or wrong. It's about both spouses willingly laying down their lives and their preferences for the sake of serving each other and demonstrating love to each other. What God expects from a man is that he will love his wife. What God expects from a woman is that she will submit to her husband. And the meaning of those two words still boil down to what? Love, denial, sacrifice, giving. You can only give when you love. And you can only submit when you love. And when you submit, you are actually giving. So, I'm going to break it down shortly. I said the phone lines will not be opened because I want you to take this in, because I believe that if we are able to align our expectations in our marriages, we will be best of friends. We would have conflicts. Human beings would always have conflicts, but we would always resolve it because we have a common goal, common agenda. Now, this is how we are supposed to deal with worry. If your wife says to you, I don't know why you worry too much. When something happens to you, take it and just throw it away. That's the way we're supposed to deal with worry. What that person is saying is that your emotion is unrealistic and it's trying to put a ceiling on how far you're supposed to think about something. That is an unrealistic expectation. You can't define for me how I'm supposed to handle a situation that affects me emotionally. Then, if your husband says to you, I wish you can cook like my mom. My mom makes the best egusi soup. You know, that's his expectation. And maybe their favorite meal on Sunday is egusi and pounded yam. And for God's sake, you don't even like it. So you're not even dreaming of how to cook it. But he gets disappointed because you're not a wife that can make egusi soup like the mom. What about a wife that says, my dad would always fix stuff around the house? Why can't you do it? If we need to nail things, it's my dad. He knows where the hard wall is. He knows the difference between an ordinary nail or a tornado nail. You don't even know anything about tools. My father had a toolbox. You don't have one. Now, the woman expects that the man of the house must be the one that knows where the toolbox is. No. There's nowhere that is written. It's your father that knows where the toolbox in their home was. In your own home, you both have to decide. Do we need a toolbox, and who should be in charge of it? Then if your husband says to you, the neighbor's wife, you know, he has very good shape. You know, Tinuke, what about you also losing some weight now around the belly? It actually goes down right through your spine to your inwardmost being, to your self-esteem. So it affects you. It affects your joy. Because your husband just run you down. And you say back to your husband, the neighbor's wife just got a ticket with the 3 children to go to Europe. They're actually going through Dubai. I think every good man should do this for their wife. And your husband is not able to do it. I'm still talking about expectation today. Now, these kind of expectations and millions of others like this, they create hurt feelings and they break the trust in the marriage. So our relationships shouldn't look just like our parents because we are not our parents. Your relationship with your spouse should not look like that of your parents because you are not your parents. You are two unique individuals brought together by God for a specific purpose. And it gives us a lot of leeway when it comes to what specific household task each of us should take on. So, expecting your husband or your wife to behave like the woman down the street, the man in your office, you know, your boss at work you're the secretary and would always tell you to pay the children's school fees, 2 weeks before term resumes, does not mean that is the golden rule. It is good. And then don't go and fight your husband because he pays the school fees 2 weeks after resumption. Let's talk about the expectation. So are there specific things that wife expects from their husband? How can we harmonize this? I can't tell you all the things that wife expects. Neither can I tell you all the things that husbands expect. But I'm going to try and go down into what I believe should help us in our expectations so that they are not realistic. I try to sample the opinions of men and I got a few things. I'm not a man, but I've been married to a man now. Next month, exactly, oh my God, 1 month and 3 days will be 26 years. So I have an idea a little bit, maybe a little bit of experience. You can leverage on that. I have also 2 young adults as sons, and I discuss with them. And because I am a pastor, I mingle with a lot of men. And as a marriage counselor, I hear this all the time. So I'm going to leverage on all those experiences and share with you some of the things wives expect from their husband. And I'll see if I can also guide you as to how you can meet those needs. Now, someone wants to know how you can benefit from all these resources that I have. Okay. You can send me an email, familytoday@funmijohnson.com, and ask me questions. I would answer your questions. If the questions are too long, I can give you opportunity for one-on-one counseling. But I try not to do that so much because I have such limited time. I don't charge for counseling, so it has to be at my discretion and at a convenient time. Also, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, I need to say this. My personal Facebook profile is full, so I can't add any more friends. I see people trying to. So I'm not snobbish by not adding you. It's already full. So follow me on Funmi Johnson 1. Okay? Funmi Johnson 1 is unlimited, so you can join that. You can follow me on that, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And then you can ask your questions. If you want to send me a question by SMS, you can send to 0802 318 2030. I'm a married counselor. My passion is to see homes together. I want to help you to even make the right choice, to guide and direct you under the leadership of God. The Bible says, a multitude of counsel, there is safety. If you're single listening to me, there are a lot of mistakes you can avert by seeking the right counsel before you take that big decision, so that you can make informed decision. I was talking about the commandments of dating. I'll continue it shortly. I've only talked about 4 or 5. There are 10 of them. I'll continue it sometimes shortly. But for now, let me address this married people. We're talking expectations today. A wife expects her husband to stand by her and protect her and honor her through thick and thin. When I was talking about the hierarchy of needs for women, number 1 is security. And I'm saying this is not changing. A wife expects her husband to protect her, stand by her, defend her. Now, this defense goes in skills. Defend her with the children, defend her with your family, defend her no matter what. It's not just an expectation, it's also a need, because security is number 1 need of a woman. So you need to understand that your wife expects protection from you. Your wife expects you to side her, even when you don't agree with her. So how do you reconcile this? Okay, you may need to, have some coded ways of saying, you know what, hey, can we talk about this when no one is there, so that you don't go contrary to her. When you go contrary to your wife's position, when other people are there, it actually damages our esteem. Especially in our culture, where the woman is not given as much as she actually deserves. Until we understand the equality of man and woman, until we understand that the wife is not inferior to the husband in a marriage relationship, you may understand that, your family may not. Have you ever gotten to a party, a family function, you're both coming, you drive all the way from Lagos to Ibadan, and as soon as you're driving, they say, yes, your wife should go to the kitchen. I'm like, excuse me? They don't even know whether she was the one that drove to Ibadan from Lagos, after 4 or 5 hours of traffic. They just expect you to follow it and do it. So until that happens, a wife expects her husband to stand by her and protect her. That's very important. We're going to go on a short break now, and after that we continue. What are expectations? Paul says it is better for a single man to marry than to burn. Are you single, married, widowed, separated, or divorced? Join me on Family Today.
Family Today with Funmi Johnson is one program that will bring you in alignment with who you truly are and open your mind to how you rock your significant interpersonal relationships while sidestepping the landmines culture, religion, and society have laid in your path. Family Today with Funmi Johnson goes where others are shy to go and shines the light in the dark corners others have forgotten. Tune in at 11:30 a.m. every Friday to listen to Family Today with Funmi Johnson on Inspiration 92.3 FM. And we're back to the program.
Okay, we're back to the program. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Always stay tuned to, Inspiration 92.3 FM. That is the ultimate family radio station. And I want you to know that together we will form formidable families. I pray for your home. If you're listening to me today, I'm praying for you that the Lord will guide you through. Marriage can be very tough, but marriage can also be very, very interesting. But with wisdom a house is built, with understanding it is established, with knowledge the rooms are filled with precious gifts. So if you are knowledgeable about how to run your marriage, I'm sure there are a lot of landmines that you can escape. So I'm talking about expectation. I said a woman expects her husband to stand side by side her and protect her and honor her. And number two, a wife expects her husband to share his heart and be her best listener. What do I mean by that? It's not just that women like to communicate. They actually expect, their shoulder and the husband's shoulder as a platform to lean on. So they want you to listen to their heart. Don't brush off our conversation. Listen to our heart. Listen, men are not always good listeners because they have too many things they're thinking about. But it is a need for a woman, and she expects you not just to hear her, but to listen to her. There's a difference between hearing and listening. When you listen, that means you begin to meditate on what you have heard with a bid to empathize and to be able to correspond, in communication. So a wife expects her husband to share his heart and be her best listener. I'm talking about what a woman expects. After that, I'll talk about what a man expects. A wife, number three, a wife expects her husband to always be honest and transparent with her in the most loving way possible. Culturally, men assume that they are superior to their wives. So they actually sometimes talk to their wives in a condescending manner. It's not, a woman does not see herself as inferior to you. A woman sees herself as equal to you and would expect that when you want to communicate with her, you talk to her honestly, transparently, in a respectable manner. She expects that. And let me tell you this. If you're able to meet this expectation, you will get the best out of your wife. But if you talk down on your wife and talk to her as if she is a little lower than you, you won't get the best out of her. Okay? So even when, someone said to me, I tell my woman to get out of their place. I said, no, you're not talking to your houseboy, neither are you talking to your child. You don't talk down at her. When you do that, she can give you a best. So she expects that you will treat her as equal. Even when you want to correct or admonish, you will do it as if you're correcting your mate or your friend, not your subordinate. I'm talking about expectations. Number four, a wife expects her husband to be her biggest fan and motivator. Now, a lot of times people say that men expect their husband and their wives to fan their ego. Yes, a woman expects that too. When she tells you, I feel inferior to my friends, tell her you're not. You're not inferior. Yes, you may have OND and you really want to have, a master's degree. Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you take Open University? Why don't you add on this course? Or maybe she says, I feel I'm too big. After the birth of Junior, I added 10 kg. We can work together. I can follow you to the gym. I can help you. But don't say, oh, see how you are doing. All your mates are like this. No. A wife expects her husband to be her biggest fan and motivator. And it's important for you to key into that. The Bible says in Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron. So as two people working together towards one common goal, one family that can bring out the best. If you work together as a couple, you can bring out the best children the world can ever produce. Because in unity is great strength. If two people agree together as touching a thing on earth, the Bible says it will be done by our Father in heaven. Whatever you are working together. But once you have someone, resenting the other person, it becomes a problem. Number five, a wife expects her husband to foster her strength, health, spirit, soul, and body. What I'm saying is a wife expects that whatever little she brings, to you when she marries, you will multiply. Women say, cultivate me. Women say, enhance me. Women say, improve me. A wife is looking. That's why even when a woman comes to you as she expects that you add something to what she has. She expects that. So it doesn't matter how much a woman has, how much she earns, even if her father is the richest, man on earth, she still expects something from her husband. So you're saying to me, but I earn less than she does. Yes, even though you earn less, make sure you take out something out of that little that you earn and add to what your wife has. Because a wife expects her husband to add to her. I'm talking about the wife's expectation. I'm going to rush now because I want to talk about the husband. A wife wants her husband, to show that she is wildly attracted to him. She wants you to show that she is attractive even after 26 years of marriage. So you need to come and cook up some ways, how you want to show your wife. The way you chased her when she was 22, she wants you to still chase her. It is very, very important. But you see, what a man does is, I've married you now I want to take care of you. So forget about chasing her and start pursuing other things. No, a wife expects, so you have to now say to yourself, reprogram yourself as a husband. My wife expects me to chase her. So how am I going to chase her? Once a week, thereabouts, send her a text message, comment, comment her dressing, say nice words to her, write a poem, sing a song, say something. Say, oh, I love you, baby. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. In our days, our lines were very straightforward. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, but none is as sweet as you. I don't know what you say these days, but whatever you say these days, you have to keep saying something. And I'm saying this, my husband, if you're listening to me, I expect you to toast me. I expect you to chase me. So this weekend, find a way to do that. Hello? Thank you. So we're talking about expectation. Wives expect their husbands to chase them. And also, wives expect their husband to be willing to lay down their life. They expect you to show that they are so important, you're willing to give the utmost. The best part of the house, the best part of the, of the car, the best part of the room, Just give me, show me that you can give me everything. I'm going to rush now. What does a man expect from her husband? I'm going to share 5 things that a husband expects from from his wife. What does a husband expect from his wife? 1, he expects companionship. And I will explain that. He wants you to be his best friend. He wants to have fun with you. He wants to explore with you and create new adventures with you. He doesn't want you to treat him like you are his mom, even when he's acting like a kid. He wants to be your friend. Now, a lot of times we women are too prone to scolding and correcting our spouses that we lose that sense of friendship. Yeah, really. And especially right in Africa, I know. We train our daughters to be so, domesticated and all that, and our husbands are not us. So we have to keep correcting, we have to keep picking after them, we have to keep telling them the do's and the don'ts. So we ultimately become their moms. Men expect you to be their companion, not their moms. So wives, you need to take you need to learn from that. Another thing. This one is a tough one. Like, in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 33, the Bible says that wives should respect. See to it that you respect your husband. In 1 Peter chapter 3, the Bible says, husband, treat your wife with respect. So I know respect is needed by men, respect is needed by women. Every human being should be respected. But husband expects their wives to respect them. It's one of the deep needs of a man. He expects it. He needs it. It actually helps and boosts his ego. Now, how do you balance this? I need to be respected too, yes. But a woman can still make do with maybe a little less. But a husband can die if he doesn't get it. So, how do you do that? Researchers found out that most men would rather feel respected by their wives than feel loved by them. Most men would rather feel respected by their wives than feel loved by them. So what do we do in this case? You now have to be knowledgeable. Since you know that it's an expectation and it's a need for a man, how can you prop your husband in a way that it can make it easy for you to respect him? Okay, how can you also help him to also respect you so that respect can be reciprocated? It becomes something that is mutually happening in your home. Okay, so how do you do that? Affirm him. Believe in him. Okay, let him know that with you on his side, he can take the world. Okay, I know sometimes we have to nag, but try to nag sensibly, knowing that if he bruises his ego, it erodes one of the major things that make him a man. So a man expects that you will respect him. I'm talking about expectations and how we can use the knowledge of these to boost our home. The third expectation of a man is sexual intimacy. You know, I mean, why I said it today was because someone wrote and said to me, my husband raped me. He said twice he raped me and I've not been able to get over it. I tried to bring on the conversation and he didn't agree with me that he raped me. Now, this is the issue. The man expects that when I marry you, I have unhindered access to you. Am I saying it is good for a man to bully his wife? No, it's not good. That is eroding our, human rights. It is not good. It is not right. But now that you know that this is what a man expects, you have to be able to work with your husband in a way that he will know that he needs to carry you along into this decision. A man needs sexual intimacy 10 times more than a woman does. So we need to work together on this. So and he expects that you will give this to him immediately on demand. Now, to the man, I'm saying it on the side, you can't get this on demand. You need to work for it. You need to understand the language of your wife and how to play a game to be able to respond to you. Number 4 need of a man is domestic support. What is domestic support? The husband expects that you will be the one in charge of the house. I'm not saying cleaning the house, washing the laundry and all that, but that the peace, that the home, the stability of the home would come, from the wife. And then finally, the man expects huge commitment from you. Huge commitment. Just the same way you want him to champion your cause, he expects that you'll be committed to him above all else. We will continue this conversation some other time, and I would expect your questions. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Funmi Johnson, numeric 1. Have a beautiful day.
Family Today with Funmi Johnson is powered by the Capstone Church Without Walls.